So, what's your fantasy?
Revenge on a childhood bully.
Just bought it, I see it.
Your life is about to change.
I got it, yeah, I want it. Got it.
I hope you're ready.
Well, I had an idea for a different project that was inspired by Fantasy Island. Jason Blum, the producer, heard the idea and he was like, well, let's just do Fantasy Island. And he went and he got the rights and he called me up and said, I got the rights to Fantasy Island. Let's do your idea as Fantasy Island. I said, okay, let's go. Oh, very well. Yeah, I remember it from when I was a kid. It was quite young when it was on the air, but I saw it in reruns too. And I just remember the attitude of it very vividly. This notion of people showing up and getting what they think they want and then having it twisted and learning a lesson, and Mr. Rourke kind of playing with the guests the way, you know, I wanted to play with the audience as a filmmaker. And so I was incredibly excited about making it as a contemporary, scary film. The best. I mean, I'd like a little more money. The budgets are quite small, but what's great about Jason is that he really empowers artists to tell their stories, and then he protects them. And so I'm really in his debt and would do anything for him. I mean, I think he's changing horror films. You know, he has said to me, and I've heard him say in other interviews, you know, it's all about character and story, right? It's not about jump scares, it's not about gore, and it's incredibly smart to look at horror that way because you're elevating the genre and you're making it more than just some sort of exploitive thrill ride. It's much more about the human experience, and it's giving horror the credit that it deserves. So many. I mean, gosh, you know, we're referencing all different kinds of movies in our film. You know, what happens to Jimmy O. Yang and Ryan Hansen's character is we're referencing the Purge movie, the first Purge movie, like a home invasion type movie. With Lucy's story, we're obviously referencing Saw. With Maggie Q's story, we're referencing a little bit The Shining, a little bit Butterfly Effect. With Austin Stoll's story, we're referencing, there's a little bit of Platoon in there, a little Field of Dreams. I mean, there's lots of genres at play in our film. It's kind of a mashup. I mean, it's hard to say. You know, what's great about Fantasy Island is it really lent itself to being a supernatural horror film. I'm having a hard time coming up with some other TV shows that would work in that way. I think it just needs to feel organic for the filmmaker who's working on it, and nothing could have been more organic for me than turning Fantasy Island into a supernatural horror film. Both, like exactly what the guests experience when they come to Fantasy Island. Look, the natural beauty of Fiji is awesome. The country really embraced the film and supported it. You know, you're in the middle of undeveloped natural beauty, and that's challenging, especially when you're talking about 100 people and equipment. There's a lot of logistical issues, but fortunately we had a great cast, a great crew, and a lot of support.
We weren't brought here to have our own fantasies.
I want it, I got it, I want it.
We were brought here to be a part of someone else.
I got it, I want it, I got it.